Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be making this kind of hamburger menu. I've not put too much effort into this landing page, but it's just more about the menu this video. So you can see this hamburger logo here. When we click it, we kind of get this this menu that opens up and fills the screen. You could add an image here if you want to. I've not for this video because I see our nav links gradually appearing from the left in our contact section as well. Looks pretty smart. It's quite minimal and kind of like that kind of style at the moment. But yeah, I hope you enjoy, guys. This is all within the JavaScript, no kind of animation frameworks or anything like that. So yeah, I hope you enjoy. Cheers. Okay, guys. So to get started here, we've got the three usual files. I've got my index.html, app.js, and style.css. And I've also just got this home.jpg image here, and this is just an image, a free one I sourced off unsplash.com. There's loads of free images on there. Use whatever one you want. Okay, so let's go into our index.html, get a boilerplate up. First things first, link to our style.css. And then also script and source tag in the body, and then just say app.js here. Okay, and then so I'm going to copy over from one I made previously, just to make this quicker. So in the body, we're just going to do the first things we're going to do is add this div with a class of menu toggle. And you can see I've just got the three span elements in here, and these are going to make up our hamburger menu, or our little menu toggle button, okay, with the three lines underneath. And then come underneath this, we're going to add our actual menu. So here we're using a nav tag. Let me just bring this out a bit. So yeah, we're using a nav tag here. I'll give it a class of nav as well. And within this nav tag, we have two divs, okay? We have this nav left and nav right. Now our nav right doesn't contain anything, it's just a div on its own. But within our nav left, we have an unordered list first, and that contains 6 list elements here, each with a class of nav link. And then each of these list elements contain an anchor tag. The top 3 have a class of large because there's going to be a larger font size applied to these 3 links, and the bottom 3 have a class of small to represent a smaller font size. The href, I've just got pound symbols now because they're not going to go anywhere, and then put whatever links you want. I've just used these for now. Okay, it's coming out of our unordered list. I also have another div with a class of contact, and this is just going to be a contact portion at the bottom of our the first half of our menu. The first p tag is a class of large, and that says get in touch. Then the second 2, both p tags with a class of small for small text, and that just contains a mobile number and my email address. Okay, so that's it for our nav element. Then underneath that, I'm going to have a div, and this is going to store our actual logo, website logo. So I've just got a div of a class of logo here and company logo. That can be whatever you want. And then underneath this, we're going to have our kind of welcome section. So div of a class of welcome. I've got a h1 with a class of message in there saying Hamburger navigation tutorial. And then just a paragraph tag with some lorem text in there. So we're nearly done with our HTML. Underneath this, I'm going to add another div. And that's got a class of button. And that just contains a h4 with see more. And then finally, the last section here is just we're going to add an image to our page. Okay, so I have a div of a class of image, an image tag with the source of our home.jpg in our directory here. So this picture of a flower here. And then another div within this div with a class of explore. You want to do that? And then that's just got a h4 with explore text in. Okay, so that's it for our HTML. If we open this with live server, there you go. So we have our nav section there, our company logo, Hamburger navigation tutorial. One thing I want to do is just add this Poppins font. I really like Poppins at the moment. It's one of my favourite fonts, so I'll use it quite a lot. But I'm just going to take this embed section here and put it in our header. Okay, and then next thing we're going to do is open our CSS. Let's get this open again. So what I want to do here, I just want to first apply the global kind of CSS settings. So what we do a star, margin 0, padding 0, box size in border box. I then just want to add that Poppins font, so the CSS style here, and then we'll close that down. So now we'll get a nice font we save, and you can see we've got that nice Poppins font now. It's looking a bit better. And then coming underneath this, I want to select the anchor tags. So for all anchor tags, I want the text decoration to be none. That will remove these underlines. I want the color to be black. I don't want it to be this blue color. Okay, and then we're going to say a.hover. We want the opacity to go to 0.5. Okay, so now you can see we've got rid of the underlines. When we hover our links, we get this nice kind of hover effect. Okay, next thing I want to do is just select our large. Remember, we set our links to large, with a class of large. So I just want the font size for these large links to be 1.2 rem. And I also want to transform the text to uppercase. So I think it was these top three here, which were large. So if we just save that, you can see they've gone a bit larger there, and yeah, it's looking better. So now if we select the small text, we've set the font size here to 0.8 rem, and we've given it a color of 161616 A9. Okay, so that makes it slightly transparent as well. So that will adjust these three links here: web design, e-commerce, and blog. If we save that, you can see they've gone smaller and they're slightly transparent there as well, just to make them lighter on the screen. Okay, so kind of underneath that, next thing I want to do, I just want to actually adjust the background color of our body. I'm going to make it this kind of greeny, dark green color, so 272C2C. Okay, now the next thing I want to do here, let's just go to actually adjust our menu toggle now. Okay, so this is going to be where our hamburger toggle button, the settings for that. Okay, so I've selected our class with menu toggle. We're going to have it position fixed. If I save that, you can't see that. Let me just change the background a second, just to show you where this is situated on the screen. Okay, so that's where our menu toggle will be. Okay, so we've got position fixed, the index of 999, that just puts it in front of everything on the screen. Right of 5%, so 5% from the right hand side of the screen. Top 4 rem, so 4 rem from the top of the screen. And then we're doing a height of, a width of 2 rem, height of 2 rem. Okay, just give it this square shape. And the background, we'll take that out in a sec. Cursor pointer, just so we get the cursor when we hover. And we're doing a display flex here. Okay, so we're using flexbox, and we're making our flex direction column. Okay, because we want our actual hamburger menu, the 3 span elements, to be displayed in a column underneath each other. And then we're justifying the content as space around, just to space out our span elements evenly. And then we're doing a transition of 0.5 seconds because we're going to apply some kind of rotation animation to this menu toggle button. Now, underneath, let's get our span elements formatted now, or styled. So you can see here, I've just selected menu toggle, select with our span selector, background of white, width of 100% to fill the toggle box, and then a height of 3 pixels each. And there you can see are our 3 span elements now. Let's remove that red background. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to just say, I'm going to come underneath this menu toggle actually, and I'm going to say .menu toggle. And when we apply an active class, so we're going to be applying an active class this with JavaScript when we click on our menu toggle, okay? And then when it's active, we want to rotate this menu 180 degrees, minus 180, okay? So it will do a kind of a spinning animation. Okay, so underneath this, next one I do is just adjust the child elements, so these span elements when we apply the active class to our menu toggle. Okay, so let's do the first span element first, underneath here. So I've got menu toggle active, and then we're selecting, we're doing our span element, nth child of 1, okay? So that's this top span element here, the first span element. And when we're active, I want to position this element absolute, so that positions it relative to our menu toggle element, the parent element. And then I want it to be 50% from the top, 50% from the left, and then we're going to translate that minus 50 to make it dead center. And then we're going to rotate this span element by 45 degrees, okay, to make it like we're going to make this into a kind of a cross shape. And then let's do the same. So for the second span, so I've set the nth child 2 here. we're just going to make this disappear when we add the active class to our menu toggle, okay? We don't want to see that. We're just basically going to take the first span element and the third span element and morph them into a cross symbol. Okay, so let's just get our third span element now. And just, yeah, as before, nth child 3, position absolute again, top 50%, left 50%, transforming, translating again, and this time we're rotating it by minus 45 degrees, and that will give it that cross shape, okay? So yeah, that's pretty much it. So now let's adjust our nav. This is our actual menu section, okay? So coming in here, we'll select our nav tag, and I want it to be position fixed, so when we scroll, the nav doesn't move from the screen, it always stays there in the same place. I want to give it a height of 100 viewport heights to just fill the width of the browser, or the height of the browser, sorry, and a width of 100% to fill the width of the browser. We're going to give this a z-index of 100 to bring it in front of everything on the page. However, when our nav is not active, we're going to say pointer events of none, okay? So that means when the user clicks, nothing will happen. It will just go through to the actual main page, okay? And then I'm going to say when our nav is active, that's when we're going to set our pointer events to auto. So that when our nav is active, the user will be able to interact with the menu, okay, and the links in the menu. Okay, so next, let's select our nav left. So this is going to be position relative. I'm going to give it a z-index of 10, and then a left of minus 50% at first, okay? So we're going to start minus 50% off the page, so we won't see it. Top of 0, start at the top of the page. Browser, sorry, and then we're going to give it a width of 50% to fill half of the page, and a height of 100 viewport heights to fill the page vertically. Background color of white, and then a transition of 0.8 seconds for our animation. And then we're going to say nav left dot active, and then that's when we're going to bring our nav to the left at 0, so we'll be able to see it on the screen with a transition of 0.5 seconds. Okay, so you can't see anything now, but if we apply, let me just come back in here just so we can see our adjustments. So I'm going to say it's nav left. I'm going to apply the active class. You can see that's what our nav's looking like so far, okay? So I'll leave that active class on for now. And then kind of underneath this, I next want to adjust the nav left unordered list, okay? That contains our links here. So nav left, unordered list, sorry, position relative, top 35% from the screen. Let me just save that. Don't worry about this get in touch part, we'll adjust that later. But this is our unordered list here. You can see it's 35% from the top of the screen, left of 10%. We've given our unordered list a height of 30% of the screen here. Display of flex, so they again with our menu toggle, we got it in a column flex box, so our links appear underneath each other. And then I've just done space between as well to space them out evenly. And I've just added this list style of none just to remove the bullet points. You can see that just removes them. Okay, and then what I want to do next as well, so let's just adjust our nav right underneath this. So again, we're going to give this position of absolute, z-index of 9. We give this a z-index of 10, the nav left. And the reason we're giving this a z-index of 9 is because we want it to appear behind our left element, okay? And you'll see why we're doing that with our animation later. Okay, and then I've just done the same with the above. When it's not active, left of the screen at minus 50%, top 0, again width 50%, background height of 100 viewport heights. I'm going to give this one a background of black this time, and as with the left nav, just a transition of 0.8 seconds. And again, I'm going to say when our right nav is active, we're going to say left at 50% and a transition of 0.5 seconds, okay? So as before, I'm just going to apply the active class to our nav right now. And you can see that's how we're looking so far. Okay, so let's go back into our CSS. Not too much longer on this now. next thing we want to do is adjust our nav links, okay? So what we're going to do first, our nav links are all going to have an opacity of 0, okay? Because we're going to fade them in gradually as we open our menu with JavaScript, okay? And then we're setting a position of these links to relative, and we're saying left at -10%. So this is -10% to where they are now, okay? Relative to where they are now. And the reason we're doing this is because when we open our nav, we want our links to gradually fade in and come in from the left. So that's why we set our left to -10 here, okay? So I've saved that, you can't see them now. And then I'm going to say when our nav links are active, we're going to set the opacity to 1. Again, don't need to add that position relative because that's already on there. We want a transition of 0.5 seconds and left of 0, okay? So just so you can quickly see that in action, again, if we just say active on this top link, you see it gradually fade in, okay? Let's just take that out for now. Okay, so next thing we want to do underneath this is just adjust that contact section. We want to bring that down to the bottom. So come underneath here, contact, we're going to say position absolute. And again, as with above, opacity 0. Let's just take that out for a second. Opacity 0, bottom 10%, left 0, and pointer events none. And then we're going to say when it's active, we want the opacity to be 1 so you can see it, left of 10%, and a transition of 0.5 seconds. Okay, so again, that's what that looks like when you bring it in, okay? Okay, so next thing we want to do, I'm just going to take off these active classes because now we're just going to adjust our actual page. Okay, so next, let's adjust our logo. Back in our CSS, set our logo. That's going to be position fixed, top 4 rem, left 5%, z-index of 100, color white, font size 1.5 rem, text transform uppercase, pointer events none, and a transition of 1 second, okay? And you'll see why we're doing that transition in a sec. That's where our logo will be situated on the screen. And then I'm going to say logo.active, and then we're going to give that a color of black, okay? So when we open our menu, the logo will change to a black color. And then I want to select our welcome section, and that's going to have a color of white, set the text to white, position relative, left 5%, top 30 viewport heights from the top, width of 40%, and a text transform of uppercase. Okay, so that's how that's looking at the moment. And then I'm just going to select our P elements. I'm going to give that a margin top of 1 rem, okay? That just gives a bit of space in between the actual title of the page and the text underneath. Next one I want to do is select the button. And here I've just given that a position of relative, z-index of 1, color of white for the text, border of white as well, and then left 5%, top 35%. You can see I've kind of got these all in line with each other, okay? It makes it look nicer. And then a width of 8 rem, padding of 0.2 rem, text align center, and a transition of 0.5 seconds. And we're doing that transition because when we hover, this button hover here, we want to add a pointer cursor, we want to change the background color to white and the font color to this green color. And again, with that transition, so now you can see when we hover, we get a nice sort of hover effect. Okay, so now we are nearly done with the CSS, guys, not too much longer now. So I'm going to just select our image. So dot image, position relative, left 50%, top 10 viewport heights, and a height of 400 pixels. Okay, so this is just for like kind of, yeah, it's more for a desktop view, okay? And what I need to do as well is come underneath here. And I've just selected the actual image element and made that a height of 100%. Okay, so then come underneath that, last two sections we need to do here. I've just got this explore section. So again, I've given that a position of absolute, text line center, background of black, cursor pointer, color white, and that just adds this kind of box here to the bottom of our image, bottom left. And then when we hover that, just make it see-through. Okay, so that's pretty much it for our HTML and CSS. Let's move on to JavaScript now. Okay guys, so the first thing we want to do in our JavaScript is I just want to get all of our selectors laid out, okay? So I have here, the first selector we have is our men toggle. This is our actual hamburger toggle here. And it's got query selector of .menu toggle. Then we're selecting our nav, our actual whole menu. And I'm just saying document.query selector .nav. And then I'm selecting the left portion and the right portion of our nav or our menu. You can see here .nav left and .nav right. And then underneath this, I'm selecting all of our nav links and I'm putting them into an array using the array.from method. And I'm using the query selector all here, okay? And then that's just got a class of .nav link. And I'm selecting the contact portion of our menu. And that's just got a class of .contact using the query selector. And I'm selecting our logo here as well, company logo with query selector .logo. Okay, so underneath that, let's just select our menu toggle now, and we're going to add an event listener. We're going to listen out for a click, and then this is going to trigger, we'll do an arrow function here. And what we want to do here is going to say menu toggle.classlist.add. We're going to add the active class, okay? So now, actually, we won't do an add, we'll do a toggle. So now you should see when we click, we get that animation with our toggle, okay? So you get that nice morph into the cross and vice versa. Looks pretty smart. Okay, and then underneath this, we're going to do the same thing basically for multiple other elements. So just copy this down. We're going to select our nav right. Then we're going to select our nav left. And then we're going to select our logo. And then we're going to select our nav. And then underneath that, what we want to do next is we want to remove the active class from our contact and our nav right, okay? And the reason we're removing this is because we want to restart the kind of delayed effect animation. You'll see why we're doing this in a second. So then we're going to say if menu toggle.classlist.contains active. Okay, so this is basically, this will enter this condition if we actually open our menu. Because we apply the active class, when we click this button, it will enter this conditional if our classes contains active, okay? Because remember, we're setting it up here. We're toggling our classes to active, so it will enter this if we open our menu. So what we're going to say here is set timeout. And then that takes a callback function. And we're going to say navWrite .classlist.add. We're going to add the active class to our the right portion of our menu, and we're going to give this a time of 100 milliseconds. Okay, so I'll save that. Let's see if anything's, and that's what's happening so far. Okay, as you can see, we get a kind of delayed effect with our right portion because of this set timeout here. You can see our company logo changes color as well. So that's looking okay now. Now we need to just kind of adjust those nav links, okay, so they appear. So let's do that. Kind of underneath this. Sorry, within this conditional, we're going to say, we'll do a for loop now. We're going to say let I equal 0, and whilst I is less than the nav links dot length, we'll say I plus plus, and then we're going to say nav links. First thing we're going to do is remove the active class from all of our nav links so we can restart the animation. Dot remove. Let's let's remove active. And then underneath this, we're going to do another set timeout. Again, that takes a callback function. And then we're going to say navlinks i.classList.add active. And then we're going to set the timing interval to I times 100. Okay, so basically the first link would appear straight away, and then as I increment, so 1, that'll be 1 times 100 milliseconds for the second element, and then 200 milliseconds for the third element, and so on and so forth. So you'll get that kind of gradual delayed effect for each of our nav links. So let's just try that out. You can see now we get that gradual fade in, like so. Okay, and then finally, let's just do the same thing for our contact section. It's kind of underneath here. I've just got another set timeout. I'm going to say contact.classList.add active 700 milliseconds, and I've done 700 because we've got 6 links, and therefore 700, that'll be 600 plus the 700. We'll get that nice fade in. So now you'll see. There you go. Just bring this full screen. That's pretty much it, guys. That's just like a kind of basic hamburger menu with this. Usually see this kind of stuff made with GSAP, I guess. Well, this is a very simplified version, but it's kind of in that same kind of level area. So you get this kind of gradual animation. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.